it's probably going to look super confusing, especially if you've never used it before. You're going to have no idea what these things do. So that's why I'm here with you guys, and I'm going to teach you guys what exactly everything does. So step by step. You don't have to use my preset. It's not, honestly, my preset probably will not work for every team that you take photos of. This is just based off of the colors for the school, which is basically gold and black. So it just depends on what kind of colors you're going for. So you just basically have the creativity to do whatever you want. So we have all these bars over here, and all of these bars do different things. So we're gonna start off with the exposure. So the exposure basically it affects the overall brightness and darkness of the image. So obviously if you pull it all the way up, it's gonna look super bright. It's horrible. If it goes all the way down, it's gonna go super dark. So depending on how bright or dark you want your picture to look, you have the freedom to do that, obviously. So we're just gonna pull, for me personally, just gonna pull this down a little bit. Now, I know you guys are probably like, why is she making it darker when it's already dark? Just let me cook. Let me cook, John. So honestly, we're just gonna bring it up to here. I don't know why I'm playing with that, but we're going to move on to our contrast. So basically adjust the overall tonal range of the image. So basically the contrast is going to affect the light areas, making it brighter or darker. So obviously if you pull that up, it's going to get even darker. If you pull it up, it's going to get like a little bit of a grayish vibe. It's going to get a little bit lighter. So we're obviously going to pull that up. I'm going to pull that up to 17. And honestly, I feel like the reason why I feel like personally I made it so dark is because I kind of want to go for the cinematic look. So that's what the overall, I guess, image is going to represent. Basically like a cinematic dark look. So basically we have our highlights down here next. So basically the highlights, obviously they brighten the area. Like wherever the image is most bright, like such as like with white skies or white surfaces, it's gonna target that area first. So if we bring it up here, you guys see how that huge bright light gets dark. I mean bright. And if you turn it down, it's gonna get darker, obviously. So we're gonna pull it up because I really want this light to stand out. So we're gonna pull that up here. And next we have our shadows. So our shadows, they refer to the darkest parts of the image compared to the highlights. So basically it's gonna where the detail is still present, but it's just gonna attack the darkest part of our image. So I really do want to highlight the darkest parts, so we're just gonna pull that up here. And then we have our whites and blacks. So the difference between the two is obviously your whites, they adjust the brightest point, and the blacks, they adjust the darkest part. So for my whites, like I said, I really want this light part to stand out. So we're just going to pull that up here. And we're not going to go too crazy on the black. So we're just going to pull that down here. We have our color balance. So basically the color balance, it adjusts the overall cast of the photo. So when you really have the freedom to what kind of colors you want your pictures to look like, if you want it to go for a blue color or a lighter color, or you can really just have the freedom and the fun to do whatever you want, whatever kind of colors you want it to look like. But I feel like for most professional photographers, we use this to kind of like edit out the white balance if we have to. So if a picture looks like too yellowish, like if the skin looks too yellowish, we'll bring it down and we'll bring it to like a bluish color or like a more whitish color to basically drown out that yellow color. So it just basically depends on how warm or cool you want your picture to look like. I don't really go too crazy on here because I use color grading more than color balance. So we're just going to bring that down to just a -4, and we're going to add a little splash of purple here too. So down here, obviously, this is the fun part, guys. I know it looks confusing, but this is literally the fun part, like the best feature on Lightroom, guys. It's literally the color grading. The color grading, it manipulates an image's color, its tone, and its mood. So that's why we have all of here. We have our midtones, obviously our shadows, and our highlights. So if you want to play around and just, you can make any color look however you want it to. So obviously, like I said, the school colors are more of a yellowish. So obviously that's where I kind of leave mine right here. I do the same for the highlights too. I don't really move mine for the shadows, but like I said, I do obviously go for the school colors. So obviously here for the midtones, we're gonna bring that up just to highlight the yellowish colors. And for highlights, I usually drag that all the way up. So it honestly depends on what you want your pictures to look like. So next down here, we're basically having another set of bars here, which like I said, they all do different things. So basically we have the texture here. So the texture basically adjusts any medium-sized details in the image, and it really brings out the surface qualities, or they soften them without affecting the fine lines or overall color. So I don't really go too crazy on the texture. I know people that love to really like put texture in their pictures, but I'm just not that kind of person. I'm more of a like a clarity person down here. Try to be tough with that. But anyway, the clarity really enhances the details. It literally increases the image's like contrast, the midtones. It makes the image more sharper, and it adds more texture compared to the texture up here. But if you really want to go all out and bring that up here, it's gonna do that. And you're like, you can really see every fine line, every detail, like if you really wanted to. It just depends on what your photo you want to look like. Compared to if you bring it all the way down here, it's gonna look a little softer. For most photographers, we really want our pictures to really stand out. So usually for me, I bring my clarity up. Not too much, but just a little bit. Just a little tiny bit. So we have the dehaze feature in the vignette and the grain. You honestly don't have to use these. It just depends on what you want your pictures to look like. For example, yeah, and it affects the brightness or the darkness of your image as well. Um, yeah, if you wanted to add a vignette, you could add like those dark shadows around if you really wanted to, or even added white ones. Just depends what you want your picture to look like, or even grain as well. You see, if you're a photographer, you should know what grain is, but if you don't know what grain is basically those little speckles that you see in the back. And that's basically affected by our ISO. So basically, if you wanted to bring all grain all the way up, you see those you see how they get even worse? That's basically what grain is. Not all photographers like to add grain to their pictures, but some do. Me personally, I'm just not a fan of it because it makes my pictures look ugly, in my opinion. But last but not least, we have our sharpening tool at the bottom. Honestly, that's probably one of my favorite tools as well. Besides clarity, probably sharpening, because you can basically make your photos stand out more. It basically makes your photos look more detailed and crisp. So if you wanted to bring that up all the way up, you could. But just not a fan of adding too much sharpness, but I do like to use the tool as well. And there you have it, guys. Once you finish like straightening out your picture, like you're good. Like you're good to go. And look at that, guys. Literally look at what our photo looked like before and look at it now. This is why color grading and editing your pictures are so important. And if you really wanted to, obviously, you don't have to make your pictures black and white, but because I obviously wanted to go for that cinematic look, just look at that. Black and white pictures really elevate your photo to a whole nother level. So last thing I did want to talk about, guys, was masking. It's not mandatory to do masking, but most sports photographers do use masking because masking makes your subject stand out compared to like this whole background here. Usually if you have multiple people in one picture, for example, it'll pop up down here like person 1, person 2. But for example, there's only one person in this picture, right? If I want to select this boy right here, I could even select all of his clothes, his hair. You really have the freedom to do whatever you want. So obviously, like I said, clarity makes your subject stand out more. So if I really wanted to bring up this clarity toolbar here, I could do that. And look how he stands out compared to the rest of the image. Obviously, you have the freedom to do that. You could even make him lighter, make him darker. You could make him yellow, make him purple, make him blue. Masking just gives you that option to like even if you wanted to make the background stand out more instead of the person, like you could do that. Like Lightroom just gives you the freedom to do anything you want. And I really hope you guys learned something from this, even if I taught you one brand new thing, or maybe you already knew all this stuff, you just wanted to find out how to do one specific thing. I really hope you learned from this, and I really hope I was able to help. Comment down below how this helped you and what other things you want to see, or even like other photography content. It doesn't even have to be editing, just photos in general. Yeah, if you guys want to leave a like, I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe. And I hope you guys have a blessed day or night wherever you're at. Bye.